Hi, my name is Christina Neuweiler. I'm a speech therapist and a certified dementia practitioner. And in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how to make an R sound. If you're struggling with the R sound, I don't want you to feel alone. It is a very challenging sound and perhaps one of, if not the most common sound I work on with my clients. Today, I want to spend less time focusing on a name or a label for what kind of R you are creating and more focus on what is the anatomy in your mouth and where does it need to be in order to make your R sound. Oftentimes in conversation, people will use both retroflex and bunch interchangeably, and they will also use a variety of different strategies until it becomes more natural for them. So my main focus for you today is to just focus on what do you have in your mouth, what's going on when we're making these sounds, and what needs to happen in order to create that R sound. So let's start by talking about our anatomy. We have our tongue right here, of course, but there are different parts of the tongue that we're going to focus on. First is the sides. All right, the sides have a very important role because they need to be braced in our mouth in order to have a very good R sound. I like to think of it as if I'm having a very wide tongue in my mouth that's stretching across my mouth. And where does our tongue brace? A great question. Our tongue needs to brace on the tongue bracing spots. That is our top molars on the inside. I'm going to point to those now. It is towards the back of our mouth, but not too terribly far back. Lastly, we have our tongue tip. That is the bottommost part of your tongue. The tongue tip has an important role as well because it pulls into the center of your mouth when you make your R sound. So I'm going to turn my face slightly to the side and I want you to watch my mouth and see what you notice when I make my R sound. Are you ready? So what's happening in my mouth is first, I lift my tongue up into my mouth and make my tongue nice and wide so that it is placed with the sides on each bracing spot, like this. Once I'm braced, I know that before I turn my voice box on and make my R sound, I'm not to let go of my bracing spots. I'm pushing against it. I want you to imagine that your tongue is stretching and pushing and lifting against those bracing spots. Now, the bracing spots aren't not the only thing that we need to consider. We need to give a lot of focus to our tongue tip. And this is where I see a lot of my friends working on these sounds tend to get a little bit stuck. So the tongue tip, as a reminder, the very bottommost part of our tongue, has an extremely important role in creating tension. And what that looks like is the tip of my tongue, which normally rests in my mouth somewhere near my teeth, like so, is going to pull into the middle of my mouth. Now, when I pull my tongue tip to the middle of my mouth, I want you to imagine that my hand here is my tongue. Here's the tip, here are the sides, here's the back. When I pull my tongue tip back, there's nowhere else for my tongue to go. Everything lifts up, helps my bracing spots to lift up and stay, and creates this very narrow space in my mouth that helps my tongue to no longer make that flat sound, but to pull, constrict, and create like so. So I'm going to turn my head to the side again. And instead of watching for my bracing spots, I want you to watch the tip of my tongue. Notice how far back it moves in my mouth as I create my R sound. Are you ready? Look at how much space I have in my mouth. I'm going to do it one more time for you. Just like that. So we have, no matter whether you're doing your retroflex or your bunched, what you're going to be focusing on is that your tongue is wide in your mouth, lifting and bracing up against our bracing spots or our top molars. And secondly, that the tip of our tongue is pulling to the center of our mouth. When we talk about bunched and retroflex, The only major difference is what direction your tongue tip is going, whether it's pulling back and lifting up, or just pulling back and staying in its neutral position like mine did. I hope that you found this video helpful for you to follow along, and if you have any questions or want to learn more, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to guide you. Have a great day, and I wish you great luck with all of your practice.